Hi there, I'm Dr. John Tickell with 1 minute on your health. It's good stuff. Listen up. Here we go. I love successful people. Love them. Watch them, study them, mix with them. Always fascinates me when you turn the heat up to its highest extreme. Some people float to the top, and it's usually the same people. So you watch their behaviour patterns and their personality types, and you learn stuff. You've heard of A-type people, haven't you? A people generally considered ambitious, very fast moving. When things slow down, they tap their pen on the table and their knee goes like, and their foot goes like this because things aren't going fast enough. And type A's hate red traffic lights. They go down 17 sides, you get there at the same time, but at least they were doing something, you know, they were involved. Type A's, they hate queues. They refuse to line up. Type A males. Easy to type yourself as an A male because type A males always push the flush button on the toilet before they finish peeing. I mean, they do, you know, they're halfway through and they're going like this because they think it's going to happen faster. For women, bit more difficult to do, So A people are like this, you know. B people, bit more laid back, you know. She'll be right, mate. Can't see a hassle myself. I reckon if we leave it long enough, it'll fix itself. No good at business, Bs, but geez, they live a long time. Then you have C people. Very hard to pick Cs. They look good on the outside, but on the inside, they're stewing all their pressures, fears, jealousies, problems. They internalise stuff, so they never get things off their chest. That's dangerous long term. So where should you be in your job of work? Maybe a mixture of this and this, but not too much of that. Now, it's interesting to me that in the Western world, our world, there are not too many of you guys. We don't work in the fields of a morning, do we? We're in offices, factories, shops, cars, trucks, and so our behaviour patterns start to come this way. And the more like this you become, the more chance you have of developing this chronic A syndrome, and that's medically dangerous, right? And it seems to me that the bigger the city you live in, the more A you become, you know. Brisbane, Melbourne, Sydney, Chicago, New York. Even when they laugh, they go, ha, ha, ha. I mean, this chronic A syndrome, it's dangerous for your health. We know that the A's are more likely to have a heart attack. The B's, they never get anything. C's have a higher risk of internal diseases like cancers. Do you know that? People say, mate, you can't prove that, doctor. I says, I know I can't prove it, but I'm right. Interesting, huh? So how much pressure are you putting on yourself? Are you this, are you this, are you this? Are you affecting your own health by the way you act and react to things in your life? Think about it, huh? People say, Dr. John, you are being a bit frivolous about all this. I said, no, I'm not. I've been in the health game now for 25, 30 years, over a quarter of a century. And, well, my latest research project has been to look for and look at the longest living races of people in the world. And you know, there is a gold medalist in the category. You know Japan, of course you know Japan. Off the southern end of Japan, there are some islands called the Okinawa Islands. And fascinating because a lot of those gurus in the States, in New York, South Beach, Miami, never been past their own front gate. I've been to 100 different countries. I've been to Okinawa and there's more 100-year-olds there than any joint in the world. People say, oh mate, I don't want to live till I'm 100. I said, why is that? And I said, do you know why? Because your perception of a 100-year-old is somebody sitting out there in a rest home and they're all withered and shaking. That's not 100 over there. Those guys at 100 look like we do when we're 60 and 63. I said, oh yeah, mate, what's the difference? What do they do? I says, well, I'll tell you what, every morning they're in the fields. There's no age difference. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're 30 or 90. They're in the fields working of a morning. In the afternoon, they're in the marketplace bartering and they sit around and have a nice glass of wine, you know? Okay. Mate, what else do? Says they live on a huge range of plant variety. They tend to eat 18 to 22 different plant foods every day of their lives. Oh, yeah. A lot of fish, most days. Soy products, a lot. We eat none. A lot of laughter and a fair bit of the jiggy. Okay. So, interesting. Once again, 3 out of 4 of those every day. So you do want to live till you're 100 if you feel fantastic when you're 95. Think about it, right? So it's this shift in emphasis from the Western culture to the Eastern culture. And people say, mate, I could never do 18 to 22 different plant foods every day of your life. We'll talk about it. Do you know the biggest risk in our society from a health perspective? Cancer. You don't want cancer, I don't want cancer, and yet 30% of us are going to get cancer. People say, oh no, I don't think so. I said, yeah, I think so. I mean, if you want the 10%ers or 5 or 3%ers, you've got to go over there with me to the plant-eating nations who live a different sort of a life, way less risk of cancer. Oh yeah. Let's look at the profiles. Men, for a start, you got what? Lung cancer, you got colon, that's bowel cancer. Add those two together, that's over half male cancers. Prostate cancer, big spurt into third position. People say, oh, I don't think you should talk about that. I say, well, I'm going to have to. And well, I will later on, because this is killing middle-aged men in their prime in our country. It is a sad fact of life. It's not killing 80-year-olds, it's 50s and 60s. That's where it gets us. So we do need to know about it. Let's go back to the big two. People say, oh, doctor, I think they're bad luck. I said, I don't. I mean, look closer. 3% of people who die of lung cancer don't smoke. The other 97% do or did smoke. That's called risk. I mean, we take risks. We get in cars and planes and scary things like that. But it always fascinates me why people take this risk. And don't get me wrong, I'm not telling you what to do with the rest of your life. What I'm doing is standing here throwing some options. I'm going to give you the information, you make the call, you make the decision. Is that fair? Look at the two relevant statements to do with cigarette smoking. Statement number 1, it is impossible to be intelligent and smoke at the same time. Statement number 2, the average smoker smokes 20 cigarettes a day for 35 years. That's average, that's 250,000 cigarettes. That's not a group, that's each average smoke, 250,000 cigarettes. And there's 10 puffs in a smoke, so that's what? That's 2.5 million times that crap that's going through this brilliant biocomputer. Anyway, good luck to you. You'd have to be kidding, wouldn't you? We've talked about lung cancer. Let's talk about women. What's the biggest cancer in women in this country? Breast. Correct. You are correct. The seminar the other day, somebody yelled out men. I said, yeah, that's cool. No, it's breast cancer. Now, last year in Australia, 2,660 women died of breast cancer. People say, that's not many, is it? I said, not many. It's a statistic. Let's go to the breast cancer capital of the world, the United States of America. 9/11, remember that? 3-4 years ago, how many people lost their lives? You are right, 3,000 people. A tragedy. Do you know how many women died of breast cancer in the States last year? 3,000? 47,000. I kid you not. And over half of those women were under the age of 60. You reckon that was a tragedy? What do you call that? Girls, every 2 years, breast check, smear check, don't put it off. In the main, this disease is curable in the early stages. I said early stages. Don't put off your checkups. Got it? Good. If you add men and women together, this is the biggest cancer in the Western world now, bowel cancer, apart from skin. People say, well, so? I said, well, it's basically non-existent over there in the plant-eating nations, and yet tens of thousands of us die of it. I mean, let's look at the mechanics of the intestines. See this tube here? That's your intestines. This is the wide end. We call it your mouth. This is the other end, and we call this the other end. Somebody said to me the other day, Doc, mate, that's why we get fat. The holes are different sizes. And the slower all the stuff moves through there, the higher is your risk of hemorrhoids, piles, diverticulitis, ulcers and bowel cancers. But most Aussies deliberately go out of their way to slow that down. Two great ways. One, be inactive, and the second one, refuse to eat that meal called breakfast. People say, oh, breakfast. I said, yeah, well, some guy 200 years ago squeezed the two words together, but it's not breakfast. It's breakfast, which breaks a 17-hour fast between dinner last night and lunch today. So if you didn't get up 4 minutes early this morning and shove some roughage in the top of the pipe and start punching it through, you're a dingbat. People say, 4 minutes? I said, well, go to bed 4 minutes earlier. A woman rang me from Adelaide the other day. She said, I've just resigned from the canteen, the tuck shop committee. I said, why? She said, well, our school, they are serving for breakfast hash brown. I said, what? Breakfast? Why is your canteen open at breakfast? She said, well,